Hi, welcome to Real Film Snobs. I'm Angela Yeager.
And I'm Brian Michael. That clip you saw at the top of the show is from the new Planet of the Apes movie. This one's War for the Planet of the Apes. Of course, after Rise and Dawn is War. This shows the continuing adventures of Caesar and his clan. This time they're actually trying to find safe haven away from the humans. And of course, they're being chased by Woody Harrelson in a big scene-chewing role as the Colonel. And if I had to put everything together in a one-word review, it would be wow. This film does not stop. Once it starts, it goes. It is such a concise, there are no slow moments in this film. It is a very powerful film. It is a very emotional film. There are loud moments of action where it's not just explosions happening. You actually are caring about characters on the screen, as well as some very powerful, quiet scenes that actually brought a tear to my eye. This is not just a fantastic blockbuster. This is a great film all the way around. If this was at the end of the year for Oscar contention, I could totally see it, but this is a wonderful blockbuster that is such a surprise. Of course, the special effects are fantastic, and Andy Serkis's performance is so great as Caesar. You know, and
He's been great in every film, though.
But we've come, you know, the first film I reviewed with Kara on the show, and we talked a little bit about him scowling so much. In this film, Caesar smiles 3 times, and there's great reasons why he smiles. The rest of the time, he does have a scowl on his face because there's such a burden of leadership that he's trying to hold on to. But he, of course, we get to see this great growth in his character as he goes off on a personal vendetta and leaving those behind. He has some great losses in this movie. I absolutely love this movie. There was not a misstep, a misbeat, a fantastic score. I love this movie.
Oh, wow. So 4 stars for you.
4 stars, easy. I just
Easy.
was,
Oh, wow.
I kept, during the end of the movie, I was like, please stick the landing, please stick the landing, don't screw up the ending, please, please, please. And I was
And
so satisfying.
they kind of leave it off for where the original...
This is the end of this trilogy
Right.
in terms of this, and they do a great job of that as well. I mean, they
yeah,
really
it wraps up really
it's
nicely.
impressive.
It's a satisfying ending to a trilogy, which for fans of trilogies like the Lord of the Rings trilogy and other ones, it's often hard when you've invested this much time in a series, and they often don't stick the landing. No, I agree. It's a really good movie. I'm giving it 3.5. It didn't quite go to the 4-star for me, but I really enjoyed it. And you know, there were some additions here that could have been. Steve Zahn plays a new comedic ape that's kind of introduced, and that
Yes.
could have gone into the really annoying character from Harry Potter, and then the really annoying character
Dobby.
from Star Wars. Could have gone down that
Jar
route
Jar.
where you Jar Jar
Yes.
and Dobby. It could have gone into that route where you're just like, get off the screen, you're driving me crazy. But it's just enough of him, and Steve Zahn
Yeah.
is great. I'm always surprised he doesn't do more voice work. Actually, he's really
he was
good.
really needed because it is a very heavy and serious film. So to have the little
needs to break
moments
up the
of
tension,
comedy
yeah.
with him to break it up was
Really
perfect.
good. No, it's perfect, and it does have a lot of levity. It's funny, as the Apes movies have gone on, the humans have become sort of less and less of. It's almost like there's no need for them. Almost, although Woody Harrelson's very good in this movie.
Yes.
But the first one you had James Franco and John Lithgow, and they had much bigger parts. And then the second one, I don't even remember who was in that, but it's sort of like less and less. And this one you have one central human character, but then the rest of it's all apes. And so that's. But the CGI is really good. The special effects. I mean, they are. It seems like that would be a given, but as we talked about with Wonder Woman, which we thought looked terrible, this is a movie that actually looks really, really good.
Fantastic.
And has a lot of emotional heart, as you said. I think, I was sitting near you, and even though we don't talk about our movie, reviews before the movie, you can't help but react to certain things, or, there was a few times where we both kind of, grabbed our breath, or, we're just really feeling, you're really with the movie.
Yeah, all the little scenes with Nova, the little girl, is just they're so breathtaking, and they're so well done. In terms of the look of the film, the first couple minutes or so, you're watching the special effects, and certainly you're watching the apes to see if they're too light, if the hair looks right, if the wind or the snow going through it, and then it works out. In the next 5 minutes, you're spending going, wow, the hair looks fantastic. They look perfectly, weighted. It just is absolutely flawless. And after a while, you just completely forget about it. These are the characters that you've followed along with the trilogy. Even though I've only seen those movies, each one of them once in a theater, I do remember the characters. They do a nice enough job touching back, but his inner conflict, to say that about a CGI character is so nice to be able to say. His inner conflict that he had with Koba.
Well, and he's not just
and his
CGI. I
beliefs.
mean, they are doing the motion capture, and so I think that does add a lot to it. But it is true that, after a while, I mean, I forgot I was, if you had told me these were just real apes that had learned to act really excellently, I would have believed you, because I didn't really think about it. Whereas in most movies, you're really aware of the special effects. You know, even in a lot of the comic book movies where they put a lot of money into that budget, you're kind of aware the whole time you're watching the special effects. But because they've invested so much in the characters, which is really where they've made a great effort in these, all of these films in this trilogy are good. This is the best one, I believe, and probably Rise was my second favorite, and probably Dawn my lead. If I had to rank them, it'd be the third film, then the first, then the second, which is sort of opposite of how it usually goes. Often the second's the best.
Well,
but anyway.
and the third's having a hard time with it. But with all 9 of them, I would say that this is either.
Well, I'm talking about
one
the
or
current
2.
trilogy.
Yeah. No, I'm putting it way up there with the original.
With the original. Well, anything better than the Tim Burton monstrosity. But anyway, so definitely a good, big 4-star movie for you. One of your first of the summer. Yeah. Out of the big summer movies.
Yay, Brian! Okay, so
good job reviewing that movie.
So congratulations, Matt Reeves. His next film is Batman.
With Ben Affleck?
Hey, you graduated. No, this is a fantastic film. I don't
know. I think that might be a demotion, not a graduation. Working
on
DC.
Our next movie is Spider-Man. Speaking of superheroes, yay! Let's watch a clip. All right, so that clip is from SpiderMan Homecoming. This is the newest reboot. This is now the 3rd time we've gotten a Spider-Man, but luckily for us, he's already appeared in Civil War. We already know he's Spider-Man, and we don't have to do a whole origin story all over again, because I'm pretty sure all the fanboys out there, we would have just thrown a riot in the theater. So we just take up right up where Civil War left off with young Peter Parker, now played by Tom Holland, in a great, energetic performance, who actually does look like he should be in high school, which is where we want Spider-Man really to start out with. And his continuing adventures here, along with mentorship from Iron Man, as he tries to stop some weapons dealing by the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, who was the Birdman. Now he's the Vulture, but he was Batman, who was also a winged nemesis there. Anyway.
Michael Keaton and wings.
I gotta tell you what. So this was a really, I enjoyed the first trilogy. The Spider-Man 2, I think, is one of the best superhero films ever. But the Amazing Spider-Man, those two, I was one of the only fans. I loved Andrew Garfield's performance.
You were one of the only ones.
I'm one of the only ones. Tom Holland, though, brings a really great real entertainment value with all of his energy. Marissa Tomei is sadly underused, but they do keep talking about how hot she is. So that was kind of pleasing.
Maybe they could give her something to do besides be hot.
Yeah, well, hopefully they will. But I really enjoyed this film. It has some nice action. We've kind of seen these things done before a little bit, but I love when Robert Downey Jr. comes in, because he always has a great rapport with just about anybody, including just the voices that he hears inside his suit. So I like this. It isn't a strong recommendation. I enjoyed the film. We sat and watched it. I was like, it's good, and I'm looking forward to the next one. But I liked it.
3 stars?
3 stars.
I really liked this movie.
Oh, fudge. You gotta be kidding me.
This is probably one of the best superhero movies I've seen in a long time. So a couple things that they did that they haven't done in any of the superhero movies recently, including Civil War, which I did not like, unlike most critics. You have one bad guy, not 10, not 5, not 6, and not any of them you have one real bad guy in this one. Okay, with Vulture, right? Okay. So one major bad guy, and he's nuanced. He has a real reason.
He's one of the best villains we've had in a while.
Yes, he has a real reason to do what he's doing. He's not just like, I'm power hungry, or I have this radiation in my brain, or whatever the other stupid reasons are in most of these movies. He has a real class motivated thing, and he's actually not. He's very nuanced. He's not. I don't want to give too much away, but he's not like evil incarnate, shall we say. Tom Holland, as you mentioned, young, looks the age, very age appropriate. And I like that he brought something different to the role with Tobey Maguire in the first series, which I also liked the first series with Tobey Maguire, especially the first 2. Tobey Maguire played it more like an emo kid, very emo,
we got a millennial here.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And then we had, Andrew Garfield, and he was just kind of too old. And I didn't like any of those movies. So, and those movies I thought just got too angsty and too, weighed down. They lost the fun of Spider-Man. This movie is actually fun. Yeah. And Tom Holland, it plays Spider-Man not as an angsty teen, but as like a nerd who has a lot of nerd friends. So he's not all that angsty. And I thought it was a lot of fun. He has friends, so he has other people to interact with, which was really missing in the other Spider-Man movies. So he has Ned and Michelle, who he hangs out with. He's got a great love interest interest story, which actually pays off, and it's not just thrown in there just to be in
Nice big
there.
surprise. Yep.
It's not too much action scenes with special effects, just enough to keep the action, but it's actually more about the characters and the story, and it's really a coming of age story. It's one of the better coming of age stories done as a superhero movie that I've seen.
Big time daddy
I really
issues.
liked it. Yeah.
Big
Right.
time
Well, and it's
daddy
interesting. The only
issues
thing I
there.
would say knocked it down a little bit for me was almost too much of, Iron Man / Tony Stark. Because Robert Downey Jr. his whole thing is starting to wear thin with me, and he's so opposite from Spider-Man, which I know is probably why he's interested in him. But they're exactly opposite, morally, personality-wise, everything.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was like, oh, there's a little bit too much of him in this movie. Other than that, I recommended. I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
What? Oh, okay. They could give it 4. I was
No.
Jeez.
Let's not get too crazy. This is me in a superhero.
So here was a nice switch role. And you're enjoying a superhero movie more than I am, and I'm going to talk about politics. So the interesting thing with Michael Keaton is this is certainly, definitely a Trump's America. Not to bring too much into it, but here's an old white guy that's angry. He's lost out on his job through the government, and so he's taking it back, and he's going to do whatever it takes, and he's kind of a bit of an extremist. It is a fantastic performance. One of the best performances by a villain in a superhero film since Spider-Man 2, in my opinion. I really loved, Michael Keaton has hit that age now where there's lots of character in his face. He's always been a really cool actor, and I always like that, but he can be very scary, and at one point in time when he threatens someone's life, you feel the threat of, which was a little bit much in a superhero movie. And I'm like, little kids are watching this, but okay.
No, and that's one of the reasons I really liked this movie. The other reason I was going to mention is I felt the stakes were, I actually found myself, even though I knew that nothing was probably going to happen to Spider-Man, there were a few times, unlike most of these movies, where I'm not invested at all. I just could care less. It's like Captain America, oh, he's going to be fine. Who cares? Just like, let's go. Whatever. I was actually really invested and got kind of emotional at a couple of points, which really surprised me to the point where when I walked out, I was like, I hope no one saw my face during a couple of those scenes.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a scene where he does something to Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man has to kind of recover. And I had a thought there, like maybe they're gonna, severely injure him or something at least. Like it was pretty moving. So.
No, this is definitely, the millennials Spider-Man. He wants to put everything, his friend keeps telling me he wants to post this on YouTube. We should be doing that. It's kind of funny how, Peter Parker used to, use webbing and put his camera in the corner and take pictures, whereas this one he puts his phone, and you get to see the big Civil War airport fight, from a phone's point of view, and you get to see Ant-Man growing in the back. There's a lot of nice touches here and there.
I liked the relationship. I liked the fact it was a coming-of-age story, and I thought the actor who played Ned, almost stole every scene he was in. He was great. Great
Very much so. He hasn't been in a lot of movies, but he's very,
I hope they bring
good.
him back because he's very good. So anyway,
very enjoyable.
3.5
wow,
stars.
You liked one more than me.
I just thought it was a lot of fun, and that's what's missing in a lot of these movies. They want to be so serious and angsty, and they want to have like 20,000 plot points that you have to follow. It's like I followed the plot, I got involved with the characters.
See, to me, it was a little too simple.
Yeah, I liked the simplicity of it. The Avengers movies and all those that you like, they're just too complicated. We don't need 20 plots and 200 villains.
Too complicated. You're complaining because they're too complicated.
Yeah, for no reason. It's not because you actually like it any better or you get involved in the characters anymore. So we'll move on to our next movie. Something also not very complicated movie, or is it? It Comes at Night, and we have a clip for you to look at. Okay, so you saw a clip for It Comes at Night, which is about a family living in isolation due to a mysterious plague that has broken out, and they decide to take in another family after a lot of apprehension, and then the boundaries between the families began to kind of shift, and there's a lot of doubt and suspicion, and paranoia. And the film is being marketed as a horror movie. It is not a horror movie. It is it's a thriller / suspense movie / family drama.
Yes.
Some people said it was just a post-apocalyptic movie. I guess you could see that. Interestingly enough, directed by Trey Shults, who we saw his first film that he ever, this is his second film. We saw Krisha, his first film. And it's funny because one of the things when I was looking up online just to see what else he directed, it said, oh, he's done 2 movies about the terror of family.
Yes. Because
Krisha, we mentioned, although that one had some funny-ish moments, also had some really horrific, just like
Thanksgiving
moments,
from hell.
Yes, moments that you just were like cringing. And this one, different in terms of, the feeling of it, obviously bigger budget with bigger actors, but interestingly, he plays on that same sort of tension within the family dynamic.
Hitchcock, you played an audience with a piano, he plucks that same string and just plucks it hard enough through the whole thing that at the end of this film, I was so exhausted that I walked across the hallway without paying and went into the Mummy and was like, I need a cleanser because this movie hit me right square in the gut, and it just was too much.
Yeah, and it's
I
weird. I
needed
didn't
some
have that
brain
reaction
candy.
to it like you
Went in
did.
and sat down and watched The Mummy, which was horrible. This is an amazing film because the more you think about this one, the more amazing it is. They have no outside contact. There's something has happened, and they've just closed themselves off because of this disease. We see someone who's already been infected in the morning, and we see how they have to deal with the body. So they stay inside this red door and board everything up. This family shows up. We don't know enough about them. We also don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. We don't know if there was a cure has been found. We don't know if there's no one else out there. We don't know anything. And Joel Edgerton, again, a fantastic performance from Joel Edgerton. He's making
also producer on this movie.
He
helped get it made.
Yeah, makes such interesting choices right now. I'm really enjoying. I'm looking forward to his next picture or his next film. But his character can't take chances. You just can't. And so he makes the hard decisions. And the last one is just. Wow, jaw-dropping. The credits hit, people behind me were complaining because there was no monster and no zombies or whatever.
Yeah,
and everyone else was just rocked. And we just sat through the whole credits and then just got up and like I said, I needed to go and wash myself with the Mummy, which was
you
awful.
much more emotionally than me. I just felt like I wanted there to be more to it. I kind of felt like
no.
I felt like
What's in the forest? What's in the dark? What's past the shadows? What's the dog barking at? Oh my God.
I feel like the director seems to think there's more going on here than there actually is. I mean, I got it. I got the, the tension and I got the paranoia, but to me at the end, I liked the movie. I'm giving it 3 stars, but I know it's what, 4 stars for you? I thought it was 4.
I thought it was fantastic.
But when you first told me about it, you were like, oh my God, it didn't stay with me the way it did.
It does with me.
But great performances
Big
all
time.
around, especially from Joel Edgerton.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next movie, which is her fresh picks. These are brand new movies. Came out 2017. They're critically acclaimed that we missed in the theater, or in the case of our next one, never came to any theaters in the Salem area. Might have gone to Portland, I'm not sure. And it's a movie called Raw. And it's about a college student who's a vegetarian, and that is an important plot point, who goes to vet school and suddenly begins to have strange cravings after undergoing a hazing ritual at her school. This is sort of like the veterinarian school from hell. So if you're planning to go to vet school, maybe don't watch this movie, or maybe do, I don't know. It's a French film. It's a feature debut from Julia Ducournau. I'm probably butchering her French name, so I apologize. And it's gotten a lot of controversy because of some gruesome scenes, because of these strange cravings that the girl begins to have. And they are, don't get me wrong, they are horrific, but it isn't, I wish that wasn't the only focus of the movie, because there's actually a lot more going on in this movie than a couple of gruesome scenes. And there is it isn't for the faint of heart, for sure. No. But there were so much things about, at one of the theaters they were giving out barf bags or something, and there was some of that. I mean, there's kind of marketing hype, but that I think it kind of, it's a coming of age story of sorts. Also another coming of age story, very different from Spider-Man. And, it's interesting because you could see this 2 ways. You could see it as a feminist empowerment, discovering who you are film, or you could see it as someone who is totally going downhill and becoming more and more animalistic.
Or you can just see the effects of college.
Well,
and the freshman 15.
Yeah.
Okay. When we watch movies together, at my place or whichever, sometimes we do yell things at the screen. You don't do it in the theater, but you can do it at home. And there were several times I went, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Because she does have a particular craving for human flesh. I mean, let's get it out there.
Well,
so
it's
that's
out
not
there.
for everybody.
It's about cannibalism.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. And at one point in time when she first starts to go for it, and the situation when she's doing it is just absolutely horrific.
It's the worst thing you can imagine.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, that was so, wow. I mean,
you almost fell off the couch.
I did. I kept leaning. I think I even stood up at one point in time, and it was, it does. It's a bit of a gross out, a lot of fun movie. To me, I enjoyed it. I give it 3 stars for the film. But it's certainly a film that I'm not going to forget anytime soon. But it seemed more a little bit gimmicky.
It's not just like a gross out exploitation movie though. There's some other stuff going on here.
That's what sticks with you more. Not going, wow, what a fantastic psychological. No, it was like she ate that finger. And it was somebody she knew. And then the ending had a really great. I mean, the last second shot is absolutely fantastic. We get to see.
It's a good ending. It sticks the ending.
Oh yeah, it nails it, and I enjoyed that very much.
No, I really enjoyed it, but it's not a 4-star movie for me, but I definitely am glad I saw it.
If you like Ginger Snaps, I think that's a nice double feature there.
Yeah, definitely if you like the dark coming of age.
Okay, so next in our films is his distinguished classics, those ones I put together. Oops. And this week is Reflections in a Golden Eye, which sounds great because it's directed by John Huston. It's based off a popular book, or those things with pages that I pass by in stores. And it stars Marlon Brando and Elizabeth Taylor. Ta-da!
You would think that should all, yeah.
That's it. So this tells the story in the South of a military man who's having struggles with his own sexuality as well as with his harpy wife. It's Elizabeth Taylor. She's just always harpy. And, the first thing that you notice about this film is that it's gold. It looks gold. Why the decision was made, probably from the book, I'm sure, by John Huston, but the whole movie is this annoying yellow that after a while really, really got to me. And I've watched black and white films that were tinted. That's not a problem, but after a while, my eyes kept trying to focus because I know that the grass is green and it just wasn't working and it just was distracting.
Well, it was distracting. Yeah.
Then there was Marlon Brando's performance. Oh boy. If you're not a strong enough director, and I'm not saying John Huston isn't, but if you don't corral him, he's going to want to play it as a green sandwich, or he's going to do it in a mumbly voice that you not understand anything that he's saying, and you have to turn the subtitles on, because that's what happened to us. There was 3 of us watching it, and we couldn't understand
a word he was saying. No.
Word. Third,
I can imagine watching this in the theater. Everyone was just like, huh?
Third, you've got Brando and you've got Taylor. Now, she's worked again. I always say she's the strongest actress, but she can hold her own against Richard Burton. So that's not saying anything. So I'm like, great. These two are. We're gonna have a Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, or who's gonna have some great chemistry.
Have very little interaction.
There's few scenes they're actually in together. There's not any kind of chemistry whatsoever with them. And then the third character, oh boy, I'm forgetting it, and I've met him.
Forrester.
Robert Forrester is in this film, and he says nothing, I don't think, in the entire film. He kind of just wanders in and out around the outside. It's a very strange, odd character. I cannot recommend this movie. I don't know what the heck it was. And I know how it got on my list, and I'm astounded.
How did it get on your list?
Yeah, I think it was on Roger Ebert's top 10 list for 1968.
Okay.
7.
Well, it's interesting because it could have been, I think the story is there. I think the story is actually interesting. I think this idea of this man who is also repressed, because I think the Robert Forster's character is supposed to be also a bit repressed in a different way, because the guys make fun of him and say he never touches women, he just smells. So that's why he's coming into her. Yeah. He never talks to her. He just kind of, so he's sort of stalking Elizabeth Taylor.
In a very weird way.
In a weird way. It's, it is about perversion, and it's the South or whatever. It's supposed to be about perversion in South in the 60s. That's what it's about. I'm not saying that the South, anyway. And then you've got Brando stalking Forrester, and then Elizabeth Taylor is whatever. She's not
in her own movie. They're all in their own movie. It feels like everyone's in their own film.
Yeah, but the 2 biggest problems, it could have been maybe a 3-star movie, maybe, if you had a different actor than Brando, because Brando is just miscast. He isn't convincing as this military guy. Yeah. I don't know what he's convincing as, maybe as a sandwich, if he had done that role instead, as you said. He could have done a sandwich better than they did this role, because they mentioned, you looked up some information that they talked about Lee Marvin or Burt Lancaster. Oh, they would have been great.
Burt Lancaster would have been fantastic.
Either one of those actors, I think, would have lent a lot of interesting layers to this role, but not Brando. He's mumbling, and then when he has his big freak out moment, it's so over the top, and he's like, like it's really overacted.
Well, then the camera, the last scene goes this way, from him to her, to him to her, to him to her, and it was like, what are we doing?
And what's
is
weird,
this Playhouse?
What's weird about Huston is you think he would be a strong director, but I don't know with the making of this in terms of the financing if he just was told that he couldn't,
Brando was getting $750,000, so he was getting a big paycheck here, but still, you just
I
corral him in the right direction.
Huston's had a few misfires in his career. He had the one,
Moby Dick.
No, I was thinking of that black one, the one that's in like every critic's list, and you and I watched it and didn't like it with Bogart. We'll have to look back on that one.
Only play. Oh no!
No, it's sort of a comp.
No, it's the cult movie.
The cult movie, yeah. Huston did that one, right?
Yeah.
And that one was one where we didn't get it. So maybe, but the gold look is super distracting as well. Everyone looks like, if you want to see a movie where everyone looks like they have jaundice, this is the one to watch.
Interesting week. Anyway. Wow. Okay, so we both can recommend War of the Planet of the Apes. I think it's a masterpiece. Thank you, Matt Reeves. Angela enjoyed Spider-Man more than me. That's a sentence I never thought I would ever say. We both can recommend.
It's time for everything.
We both recommend it. It Comes at Night as well as Raw, but we agree that Reflections in a Golden Eye is an odd film. So as always, you can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can listen to us on KMUZ, you can watch us on YouTube, and certainly we want to thank our fantastic crew, we want to thank our awesome sponsors, and we want to thank you, the viewer, for watching. Have a great day and great movies.